What is going on, guys? It's Cameron, and today we've got The Amazing Spider-Man issue 6. Now, a little bit of a weird story went on with this. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 6 and various other comics actually got released early. So the original release date was today, which is 6th of January. But as a New Year present, Marvel actually released these comics a week early. But for some reason, my comic book store just decided not to get them in. I went to 3 comic book stores near me, and none of them had The Amazing Spider-Man issue 6, Spider-Man 2099 issue 5 or 6, I think it is, Spidey issue 2, Spider-Man and Deadpool and all that. So I don't know what it was. Maybe my comic book store just didn't know that Marvel released these comics early. I have no idea, but today is the original release date of when these comics were supposed to be released. And so, yeah, they've released now. So let's get on with these reviews, guys. In the previous issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, we discovered that the leader of the Zodiac actually has shares in Parker Industries, which kind of means that a bad guy owns a little bit of Parker Industries, technically. So obviously that can only get worse for Peter Parker and Parker Industries, but that's not necessarily where this issue is going to be taking us. We're actually going to be introduced to Mr. Negative and 2 other characters who I'm not going to say the names of because you get to see them for yourself, and I'd rather you do that. But before we get into the review, I just want to point out the cover of this comic. I mean, look how awesome that is. That's Mr. Negative and Spider-Man running up and down the side of a building. And it's definitely not in New York City. If I'm correct, I think it's actually in Shanghai, considering that's where the story of this comic is based, so yeah. But enough of that now, guys. Let's jump into this issue, let's jump into this review, and let's get on with it. So the issue begins with it throwing us all the way back to 3 weeks ago. And we actually join a prisoner on a cruise ship that's got, well, is it a cruise? Well, anyway, it's a ship going across the ocean. And as you look at this prisoner, you get the sense that you kind of know who he is, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And I think just a quick thing to mention, like the opening of the comic and just how dark it is, the colours are very kind of blue and white and black. There's not really too many colours going on in there. Obviously representing that it's nighttime in the middle of the ocean and all that crazy stuff, but it almost seems like the beginning of Captain America the Winter Soldier. You know, like where there's dark colours and it's very silent and nothing's really happening. And then as these characters come through this portal, and obviously it's not a portal, it's actually Cloak and Dagger. So as all these characters jump into the scene, you can see that all these colours actually come with them. Now, the only obvious explanation for these guys breaking onto the ship is to get this prisoner out of there. I mean, why else would they actually be there? And something that I noticed when I was reading this comic the first time was that the rest of the people refer to Cloak and Dagger as them, like the other guards, or her partner will take care of those. They don't refer to it as, you know, oh, Cloak will take care of him, or Dagger will take care of them, almost as if they haven't been working with Cloak and Dagger very long. And obviously Cloak and Dagger are supposed to be good people, so what they're doing seems pretty bad. I mean, they've just left those 2 guys in the middle of the ocean, and a few people died, so yeah, something pretty weird is going on with those 2. Now, something that I also noticed was that when they first rescued this person, we realised that they are calling him Master, they are calling him Boss. And sooner or later it becomes evident that this prisoner is actually Mr. Negative, the one and only. Now, something that I just want to ask of you guys, was that person who was the prisoner actually Mr. Negative, or did they give him something to turn him into Mr. Negative? Because after they bring him back, Mr. Negative actually asks about it and they mention the corrupting touch. So, was that person just a normal person and they corrupted him? Or was that person actually Mr. Negative who wasn't Mr. Negative anymore and then they brought him back? Yeah, it's a little bit confusing, but hopefully you guys can let me know. So as we move on throughout the issue, it's pretty much inevitable that we're going to be joining Peter Parker, Spider-Man and all that crazy stuff. So when we first get to Peter Parker in this issue, he's actually on the rooftop having lunch. And something that I can't forget to mention is that we're in Shanghai, China right now, and as you can see, Peter is using the Spider-Mobile to get down the side of the building, and something that I love is that Lien, or Miss Tang, however you want to call her name, she actually pokes a little bit of a dig at Spider-Man by saying that he can only drive this Spider-Mobile because his spider sense allows him to, whereas she actually uses true skill, and I thought that was just awesome how she did that, almost like a little playful dig at Spider-Man for being so good at driving it. So moving on to what Parker Industries is doing in China, and they are actually creating green energy, like green fuel energy, eco-friendly environments, all that crazy stuff. And it sounds awesome, but one of the main things about this is that Parker Industries is doing such good stuff around the world that it's attracting major attention from bad people. I mean, look at the attention that it's been getting for the past 6 issues. We've had Rhino Return, we've got the Zodiac, we've got a potential Green Goblin, we've got the Lizard being brought into it at the end of the previous issue, and by the looks of it, the Sinister Six are coming back. And they are kind of all targeting Parker Industries and Peter Parker, so what I'm trying to put across is the fact that before Peter Parker had Parker Industries, Spider-Man used to be the person that was wanted by the villains and all that, and Peter Parker was just a nobody that nobody even expected. Whereas now, sure, Spider-Man is the superhero, but Peter Parker is a victim of a possible kidnapping because he owns Parker Industries. he's the boss of one of the biggest companies in the world. So not only does Spider-Man attract attention from the villains, but so does Peter Parker for being the boss of such a major company. Anyway, going into what we're seeing on screen, Spider-Man utilising some awesome web cartridges. You can see that he's innovated on his webbing. He now has web cement and acid webbing. Now, one of the best parts is that he switches cartridges using voice commands, and imagine if he forgets which web cartridge is which, like, oh, he needs to hold a building up, and he says web cartridge free and accidentally uses acid webbing instead. Like, surely that's an accident waiting to happen, but either way, it was awesome, and of course, we got the Miley Cyrus references in there. I came in like a wrecking ball and all that, almost like breaking the fourth wall, and that's just awesome to see. Kind of reminds me of Deadpool doing it in the comics as well. One thing I was very respectful of Spider-Man 4 was the fact that he actually gave this person the time of day to explain himself, to say that he didn't know what he was doing, and Spider-Man actually took a closer look and noticed that there was like this thing on his neck that was actually controlling him. And of course, using Parker Industries technology and like all the innovations that they can come up with, Spider-Man actually took this to Parker Industries, to like the best medical researcher in China, and we saw that Peter wanted this person to put his own project on hold to research this thing. And I have a feeling that's going to kind of give Peter and that scientist a little bit of a bad relationship in the future, mainly because Peter told this guy that his project will still be there when he gets back. But what happens if it's not? Then he's definitely going to blame Peter for that and potentially make an enemy. Now, as you can see on screen, Cloak and Dagger have come after Peter Parker, and I don't know whether they know he's Spider-Man, but this is what I was talking about earlier about Peter Parker becoming a target for villains just because he's the boss of Parker Industries. And as you can see, Mr. Negative actually approaches Peter Parker himself, and you can tell that when he puts his hand on Peter Parker's shoulder, you really get that sense of fear. Now, that is the end of the issue, guys, but that actually brings me to another thing. What if Mr. Negative controls Peter Parker the way he's controlling Cloak and Dagger? Imagine the power that he would have, especially if he doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Then that technically means that Spider-Man is under Mr. Negative's control. You know, like how Peter Parker has just given that thing to that researcher to like find a cure or whatever? I'm betting that Mr. Negative will do that to Peter Parker, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. and the rest of the team will actually get that cure and give it to Peter Parker to bring him back to normal. Or something along those lines. I cannot wait for the next issue now. But what did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10, strictly just on the characters of Cloak and Dagger and how they're being controlled. And for some reason, I just find Mr. Negative a really interesting character to me. Now, obviously, we got the colour scheme at the beginning of the comic where the colours changed and brightened up as the characters came into the panels. And just the ending as well with Mr. Negative putting his hand on Peter's shoulder. So yeah, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. For all the latest in comic book news and updates on my videos, etc., follow me on Twitter and Facebook, the links will be in the description. And to stay up to date on my YouTube channel and my comic book reviews, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, and I will see you all next time.
Meet me out in Paris. I'll be on the